Welcome to the webinar. Today, we're going to give you a look inside an unlimited design agency. Jonathan runs that. I'm going to go through your bio really quick so everyone knows who you are. Jonathan Grzybowski is the co-founder of Penji. Penji is an unlimited design agency. Basically, it's one of these where you pay a flat fee and they'll design as much stuff as you want, an on-demand graphic design membership. He says that they help you achieve more with unlimited graphic design at one flat monthly rate, all powered by their easy-to-use platform. Jonathan, I actually met him through this podcast that he also hosts called Blind Entrepreneurship. Blind Entrepreneurship. Did I say blonde? Blind Entrepreneurship.
It's all the same, right?
All right. Welcome to the webinar.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's exciting to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I am a huge fan of everything you produce. I probably just because you're insightful, and I'm not just saying that to kiss ass. I genuinely mean that. Yeah, man. So it's exciting to be here. Thank you.
Cool. I was wondering how long I could just like not say anything if you just keep going with the compliments.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get rid of. I saw there's lag, and so I'm trying to get rid of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I can keep talking nice things about you if you want.
Yeah, like what's your favorite thing about me?
Probably your hair.
I'm trying to grow it out. I'm
nice.
In high school, I had super long hair, so I'm trying to get back there. All right, let's jump into it. So one of the things that I thought was so impressive about what you've done specifically is, so you outsource a lot of your design to the Philippines, right?
Combination of the Philippines and the United States. However, every person that is on Team Penji has been vetted, has done the proper training, the whole nine. So, but yes, we do use a combination of offshore talent to the Philippines.
But it's not like what everybody else is doing where you're going on Upwork. Like you had a he had a blog series, or it was a vlog series a while ago where he was actually going overseas. I'd love if you would talk about that a little bit, like what you're trying to do there.
Yeah, well, okay. So when the vlog series that was a very short period was when we took our first trip to Vietnam. And that was, so we came up with the idea in Vietnam, believe it or not. So that trip was something that my co-founder and I told ourselves. We were like, we're going to go to Vietnam. We have developers in Vietnam, and we still do to this day. So we have about like 7 developers there. My business partner is Vietnamese, so that's the correlation. And we had to go there to help them out and talk about things, et cetera. And so we had no thought to come up with Penji. And we went to a really romantic island in Phu Quoc, which is probably more romantic of a thing that I've ever done with any of my girlfriends combined. And we sat at a coffee shop, at an ice cream parlor, excuse me. And we said, what if we did this? And what this is Penji. So we literally, in real time, I vlogged my full, real, raw emotions of how we came up with Penji.
Cool. And that's worth checking out if you guys want to look at his YouTube channel. What I found so interesting about what you did is, so you used to run an agency. Like a lot of people that are watching this still most likely run agencies. Like most of the people that follow me do. It's interesting that you decided to go unlimited design. And I'm wondering what was the thought process there?
So we created an internal tool with it for ourselves. One of the hardest things that you can do as a business is to create processes and procedures that are like yours. A lot of people use like Trello or Asana or whatever other system it is, but for some reason we couldn't figure out how to effectively communicate with our clients about design. So when the design process would happen, it was always like going through emails upon emails and email chains, and they went from like 2 emails to hundreds of emails, and it just got way too much. And so that's when we kind of thought, well, there's something, we could do something here. And what we did was we created this tool that allowed us to talk internally and to our clients. And that tool inevitably became what Penji is today.
Interesting. Okay. So what were some of the biggest I guess what was the biggest issue? So do you recommend an agency doing what you did? Let's say they're doing design. Should they go to an unlimited model? Like, yeah. What were some of the biggest things that you ran into?
Yeah, I think it's an extremely difficult question to answer because no two agencies are the same. And what I can say is that you have to, if your business is able to receive a secondary stream of revenue, then I'd say go for it, only if you do not compromise your core service offering. For us, we were like a full service agency. So we didn't have a core service offering. We were kind of just like good. We were good at a lot of things, but we weren't necessarily great at one thing. If we were to be great at one thing, it was probably design. So the answer is it worked well for us. It may not work well for you, but just keep that in mind that if you have to dilute your core service offering, you probably want to not delineate from that from your service.
Let's talk about that thought process a little bit, because I've had a couple coaching clients. Actually, just talked to a woman today who is amazing at branding and logo design. And then if you look at her website, though, it's like she does branding and logo design, and she builds WordPress sites. Like, it's very diluted. Mm-hmm. So what went into you realizing that design was where you're strongest?
You kind of broke up, but I think you said what made us realize that we were good at graphic design.
Yeah, that design was the strength, and that you don't like that was the thing to go for.
Yeah. So we listened to our clients, like straight up. We just listened to the people that we were talking to. We listened to the people that we were servicing. And we did SEO, and everybody would be like, yeah, seeing results. Okay, well, that means we're not really good at SEO. People would be like, yeah, your development is great, but it's taking forever. Okay, sure. That's understandable. But everybody would always say like, oh my God, the logo that you created for me was amazing. The website design looks amazing. So those were like indicators that we kind of knew that design was there. And not to mention it's extremely difficult to find graphic designers. And we have probably, at the time, we had 3 of the best designers on the planet. And so we looked at their strengths, we looked at what our customers were saying, and that's when we realized, hey, this unlimited graphic design service, it could be something of value to a lot of people.
So it's interesting that certain things resonate with certain people too. And that one light, I had one light, and that was all I got, and it turned off.
Yeah.
And I guess we're going in the dark now.
Yeah, it's all good.
But no, it's interesting that certain things jump out. So a different founder would have resonated with coding more, and then they would have gone with coding, and maybe they would have said that they had 3 of the best coders, right? Like, I think there's something to the gut feeling there as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We definitely went with a gut. In the very beginning, we went with pure gut. In the very beginning, actually, Penji was unlimited graphic design and unlimited development. It was both. So what made us realize to stay focused on graphic design was just, again, feedback from our customers. So like before Penji even launched as a platform, as like a legitimate website and platform, we already had like 20 to 30 customers. So we talked to them and said like, hey, is this important to you? Do you like it? And we just couldn't find a good way to scale the development portion of it. So that's what led us to the design. It was a little bit easier to scale from us because we had more experience from it than we did the development side. So then we just said, screw it. We got to focus on one thing. And I think that's what made us the most successful, is that singular focus.
Yeah. And it's not like it's impossible to scale development. Like I think WP Engine does it. Like there's some other things. So it's interesting that was what you got good at. I'd love if you would talk a little bit in detail about how did you develop design standards, and how did you take that? You said you had 3 great graphic designers. Like, how do you make sure that scales when you do an unlimited thing?
Yeah. So I'd say there's a couple of things. It kind of goes for like 3 things that what we kind of look for. Design is subjective, but as a designer, there's really like no universal standard. And the beauty is kind of like in the eye of the beholder, but you have to kind of take that into consideration, that design's always going to be subjective. But I think it has a lot to do with like the accountability and the vetting process. Those are like the two things that, like when you're trying to scale, you have to take that into heavy consideration. So when we vet people, when we vet designers, we always give them tests, and we have a very rigorous training process in order for them to even be qualified to work with design with clients.
What are those
so
tests
once
look
they
like?
get to a test in particular,
Yeah.
yes. So like you want to know the whole process from hiring?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
So yeah, sure. So basically what happens is when a person when we vet, we use like online, we used to use onlinejobs.ph. If anybody's familiar with that, you could always use that website. Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
No. So it's a website that people use in order to find talent in the Philippines. You put out a simple alert. It says, "Hey, this is what we're hiring," and then the design process is just tests. Tests in the form of design this, that. Here are different examples. Start designing. Tell me how long it takes you to complete it, and then based off of the criteria that we send them, they come back with like a, you pass or fail, and then we kind of enroll them from that point in time. So they're constantly designing for us in order to vet that particular for our particular process, and then once we feel as if that they've graduated, so to speak, we have measures within our internal structure where they're constantly reading and they're constantly growing as a designer, because that's kind of like why designers leave. Designers leave because they feel as if that they are not growing with the company. So and that's why everybody leaves, to be perfectly honest. It's not just designers. So we have like internal videos that we've created to help them become better at design. And then we also give stipends where you spend money in order to do proper training to further educate yourself on graphic design.
That's interesting. So it's like so for each designer, then you should have a good feel for how much work they can actually handle too.
Well, that's the test. That's why we do that test, because then we can get a better understanding of like, well, are they going to be able to actually deliver 10, 15, whatever number of designs on a daily basis? If the answer is no, then we know that they may not be a good fit for us. But even if they're on the lower end of the speed, but they're on the high end of quality, again, I'm sure if the people that are listening, that they're agency founders and owners, I can almost guarantee you that somebody that's listening right now has had an issue with finding a good graphic designer. So the minute you find it, you have to hold on to it. And that's kind of like what Penji is so unique, because we've done all the vetting and all the BS for you, and we just charge one flat monthly rate. So you don't have to do all that vetting yourself.
Well, there's like 2 or 3 parts though, because there's finding the good graphic designer that's there and is able to execute on somebody's vision. But then it's also finding the creative director who's not going to let them release trash, or like really is going to help push them to the next level.
Yeah. So we have project managers where the project managers are the sifters of the junk, so to speak. So every time a person signs up for Penji, you have your account, and you have a project manager, and you have a designer that's relatively attached, to multiple designers. And so the project manager is constantly making sure that that person is doing the right stuff.
Awesome. This has been asked a couple times. I'm sure this is one of the first things people think, especially if they're agency clients of yours, right? It's like, how do you stop people from... No, not how does it work. It's how do you stop people from abusing the unlimited design? Like, what's the actual limit on the unlimited?
So we do one design at a time for our professional clients, and then we do two. See, look, now mine went. God dang it! My
we don't need light. It's okay.
Yes,
we'll live in the dark here.
Yeah. So we have a professional plan, agency plan, and like an enterprise plan. The professional is 1 at a time. The agency is 2, and the enterprise is however you want to go. And so in order for it to not be abused, we work on one project at a time at all times. We'll still go through the whole queue. So if you have like 50 things that need to be done, we'll still do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you have a revision, it kind of takes up that day. So on a daily basis, or excuse me, on a monthly basis, a member of Penji could receive anywhere between 10 to 50 designs. And within those projects could be batch uploads. Like I know, for example, we had a conversation about like Instagram content and stuff like that. Like if you're doing Instagram content and you need 10 quotes for whatever meme that you're trying to do, that could be considered one project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 10 times, whatever number of whatever math you want to do. You can see that it could even scale up even higher than 50 projects.
Yeah, 100%. Coming from Philippines specifically, but most places that aren't in the US, I've found have a different, it's not even design standard. It's like the way they approach design is different. Like the way they think about fonts is different, stuff like that. So I'm wondering, how do you ensure a consistent quality to the stuff that you deliver?
It's all within the brand guidelines. So we have to try to get a better understanding of the client first before we start venturing off into design, so to speak. So we do ask our clients to submit some type of brand guideline. Sometimes they don't have it, sometimes they do. The organizations that we're going after, when it comes like our members, they are usually agency owners. We do help small businesses, we do help startups, but primarily we work with other agencies. And we also work with internal marketing teams to large organizations. So because we work with those sets of clients, they have a brand guideline that they need to follow. So they already tell us what it is that we need to design, and they already have a style that we need to go after. When it comes to the other stuff, it's just communication. There's really nothing more to it. There's no secret sauce. It's just like having a complete understanding of the other person.
That seems easy enough, right? Because it's like, when I was doing the Instagram posts, I think it was kind of like free form with us because I didn't have any brand guidelines or anything. I didn't know what fonts are Alex Berman approved. Like I didn't have anything like that. So it really is just kind of the Wild West. I mean, we have all that stuff now, right? I know the 5 or 6 colors we use. I know the fonts. So I could see how once that is settled, it would be fairly straightforward to design within that.
Yeah, and we would give you, like, if you don't have it, we would send you styles that we think could be appropriate. And then let's just say we create like one design. We usually we'll use the Instagram example because that's like the most like pertinent one to us because we had a conversation. We'll send you like 2 or 3 styles to get an idea before we submit the full project. And that way we can get a better understanding of like, okay, you like this versus this is crap.
I think when we worked together, it wasn't even a few. I think it was like 10 or 15. I'm realizing I was such a bad client, dude. I had no idea what I wanted.
Well, that's interesting because that happens far too often. And I would even argue that I don't think we hit the mark when we worked with you originally. I think we were at such a primitive stage in our business that we were still trying to figure ourselves out. And I think now more so than ever, I mean, this was even a couple months ago, I think you'd have a different experience. And I'm biased because I'm in the business, but I do believe that. I think every day I come to work, I feel like we're making some type of progression. And I think for me, that's motivating. That's inspiring.
What does that actually look like? So like, let's say, because I do the same thing, like we're adding new cold email testing systems. Like I'm changing the way we do content all the time. Like it's all constantly like tweaking a bunch of random stuff. So it's like, what are some examples of things that you've been trying to improve, or like, how are you getting better?
This is like, there's a fine balance, and like, maybe you can add some insight onto this too. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but I think there's a level where maybe you're like too into the wood, like you're too into the process where you don't actually execute. And I think for us, a lot of it has to do with feeling. A lot of it has to do with progress. It's really hard to quantify like progress, so to speak. But I just know that like we're better than what we were yesterday. And the things that I'm focusing on now, just to kind of answer the question in full, is a lot of like scripts, sales stuff. Like I'm more the sales than I am the actual like developer or the the designer. I'm not a designer. I'm not a developer. I can dabble, but I'm more on the sales side. So I'm worried about how can I get the brand out there? How can I get this? How can we increase sales? How can we lower churn rate? Those types of things.
Yeah, I saw you were actually, I think one of the reasons I reached out to you, I think for two reasons to get you on this webinar. One was I had a cool entrepreneur to intro you to, and I felt like this would be a great time for us to reconnect. And I think the other one was you sent me a random cold email as well.
Yeah, I was so embarrassed. Oh my God. I didn't send it. So I have a team that that kind of like does outreach, and I think like the outreach team, and listen, if you want everyone need the testimonial, I can gladly say that the processes that you've created have directly and indirectly affected our strategy when it comes to cold outreach. And just like the first blueprint that you did, it was like 2 years or so ago or maybe a year and a half ago when we originally talked. It's gotten a lot better since then, but that core structure has gotten us close to 50 podcasts alone. It's really interesting. So like I emailed you from a podcast, but the person wasn't looking at the right sheet. So data, it does get mixed up sometimes, but it is what it is. Sometimes you make mistakes.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. So I didn't even remember it was a podcast request. So yeah, basically he was using that same script from our podcast video where it was call out something specific about the episode, then like a couple bullet points on why you should be a good guest. It was actually pretty well done. Like I was getting a 30% response rate when I was doing that before.
Nice.
That's cool, man. How are you? Are you using outreach at all in any of the other parts of your business?
I can probably tell a pretty interesting story. So we did do outreach and it didn't work extremely well. And the reason why it didn't work well is because we weren't focused. I think that was like if I could give a theme to the conversation, it would be like your focus. Like, where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time on the right things?
Yeah, because I would think if you're selling to other agencies mostly, you could probably use an email similar to like the partnership email, and just book a bunch of meetings. And just you're so cheap. You're so inexpensive.
Yeah. Well, so that's another thing too that we're still trying to teeter between. Like, do we actually go after the phone call, or do we just say like go to the website and we'll wait for retargeting to kick in? So you're retargeted until you get sick of us.
I think you could probably do both. Where basically you use cold email for the accounts. So basically, if you wanted to go after like an Ogilvy or you wanted to go after like a major agency, that would be where I would use cold email. And then everything else, you already have the acquisition down because your cost is so low that it really wouldn't make sense to do cold email and waste that bandwidth of your salespeople.
The hard part is like who is going to be able to do the phone call though. That's the hard part. And I think that's like the key. And I don't think we're there just yet because we have to kind of tackle on like your bandwidth is only so great. So I don't think we're there just yet. But the point I was trying to make was when we were emailing people originally, it was everybody. It was just so general. If we didn't have that core person that we had to go after. But now what we realized, I live in Camden, New Jersey, and our business is headquartered here. You could Google it. We specifically located ourselves here in this city. However, my apartment I'm kind of sitting on an ivory tower, so to speak, over Philadelphia. And I see Philadelphia and I'm like, holy crap, man. Our next 100 customers, our next 200 customers, our next 1,000 customers are sitting right over the goddamn bridge right there. And so what if we could just focus our energy into one particular region, prove ourselves within that region first, and then venture off into like other cities and replicate the same thing there?
Yeah, and it's interesting you're in Philadelphia too. You ever hear the story about like Samuel Adams, like how they were getting their first beers into stores?
No, but please.
Okay, so the Sam Adams founder, basically, I think it was Philadelphia also, but maybe it was Boston. He listed like 100
They're
bars
located
in Boston. Okay, so he made 100 bars in Boston, and then he was like, I'm not going to stop until we're in every single one of these 100 bars. And then he would just like hit them every single day.
I would say we're probably taking a very similar approach to that because, like, yeah, we could. I mean, you're in California, right? You're in LA, yeah. Because I know you used to live in Florida, but like we could market in LA, and I'm sure we can kick ass there, but they don't they don't know us as well. So there are people who know us really well here. They know us by name. They know everything that we're doing. Focus your energy on the people that know you and try to get referrals from them and so on and so forth. Build that relationship, and then you can gain more capital, and maybe you can do like a massive marketing campaign like an Apple could do when they come out with the new iPhone and watch or whatever.
That's actually, I look at everything through the cold email lens, and I'm like, all right, if you have 50 or 60 or even 100 customers you're going after, you can just you can do account-based selling, like write a custom email for every single one. You can get them all.
Exactly.
Okay, so what do you think, or actually, no, I had this question about referrals. So like, how do you get one client to recommend another client? Like, what's your process there?
We tried to make it like, we stupefied the process. So we built a proprietary tool within ourselves, within our own platform. So if you go into Penji's platform, you can actually just go to the top left-hand corner and you'll see a get Penji for free button. And that's like our way of saying like, hey, if you want to refer us, and we remind our customers to, hey, if you said something good about us and you like this design, do you mind if you refer us and send us and introduce us to a friend? And so it's that constant like ask. And that's what's really, there's no secret sauce. There's no perfect email. It's just straight up asking and saying, hey, you like it? You said that you love this design. Could you use the ultimate referral by just introducing us to a friend? And we do that almost every single day.
And part of it, I guess, so from somebody, because I know I wasn't getting good feedback for a long time, from like, especially if you go back like 3-4 years, right? I don't think I was great at anything until maybe like 2 years ago. So it's like when you're not good and you don't get that like amazing response from customers, getting referrals could seem like almost impossible that anyone would ever refer you. So it's interesting to hear that.
Nobody referred us in our agency.
Yeah.
Nobody referred us in our agency, and that's because we didn't ask and we weren't confident in ourselves. It's just like we were the people in our agency that just did everything. We didn't specialize in something. But if you know you look good, if you know you can talk the game, if you know your stuff and you're feeling confident, then I think that one you won't be afraid to ask for a referral.
Yeah, I guess it really is that confidence. That's interesting. Okay, so we got a couple questions here. 360 magnetic. I don't know what these questions are, man. All right, so the first one was, what happened to Dino Enterprise LLC, and why did you choose to go with LLC as opposed to C Corp?
Oh man, whoever did that did some really interesting research.
That's why I'm wondering what are you doing? What are you doing, man?
Who was that?
That was 360 magnetic. He's got a couple like these. I'll read them off.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so I thought I deleted everything about that company. Maybe I need to do some research. Yeah, Dino is just like another failed business. It was the dinosaur version of Waterfront Media. If you really, since he does his research, he wants to know the ins and outs. It was just a web development company in short. But anyways, why an LLC? I mean, I don't know. You have to look at every single arrangement and how it works. For us, we're self-funded. We don't have any VCs. We don't have anything like that. And I don't foresee us needing it. In fact, we've been approached several times and have been approached to be acquired, and we've declined every opportunity. So if we venture off into the world of VCs, maybe we could do the switch, but I think it just works for us right now.
Yeah, I'm the same way. All of our stuff's LLC. It just seems like such a hassle to do corporations if you're not like giving things away to stockholders or you're not raising money or anything like that.
Exactly.
Have you? Okay, so a couple of them are recommending. They're saying like Penji would be great for agencies, and then they were asking, are agencies your main client base? You already answered that. how do you manage conflicts? This is what Pablo Gutierrez said. How do you manage conflicts between the designer and the clients? So like in unsatisfied people or poor instructions or stuff like that.
I'm no different than what you would do in like a regular business. If somebody's concerned that they're not getting their stuff, you would probably talk to them and say like, hey, why? Like ask the question why. And I don't think the business is different in that regard. We still ask the question why. We do it through Penji and not like call them up frantically like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I think that's a huge benefit that we have is the technology piece. But yeah, I mean, it's just a simple question like, why don't you like this? Like, what can we do in order to fix it? Do we have to switch a designer? Why? I think it's just being curious and asking questions and having understanding.
It seems so obvious to you, and it seems obvious to me, right? Because we're people
I'm sorry,
that are
it's
open
not
to feedback. That's why we get better.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sorry if that's not the right answer everybody wants, but
no, it's the answer. Dude, okay, so here's what's inspiring about this as well. I'm seeing this. So Miraculous Marketing said unlimited copywriting for $3.99 and be sold. 360's like, why don't you do unlimited coding? Like this model could be used for almost every service.
Yeah, you could do unlimited, have the same amount of success. I think the reason why Penji is the way that it is because of how singularly focused we are. Like we've thought about all this. We thought about copywriting. We thought about development. We thought about that, but it doesn't work because any idea can work. Literally any idea. It's just a matter of how much time do you have in order to focus on it. And we wanted to get focused and good at one thing first. And then a year from now, maybe we can think about design or development. We could think about copywriting, but you got to get good at one thing first and be known for that one thing. And then you can venture off into others.
Yeah, 100%. I think that comes from whatever the passion is. So it's like, if you're really good at copywriting, do unlimited copywriting. If you can crank it out like that, you can build a system. But it's like, yeah,
you don't want me to copyright.
You're best at design. You don't want me to copyright either. That's why that's why I had to hire a copywriter. None of my emails were converted.
There you go.
Okay. So 360 said you had a really good LinkedIn presence. I don't know why, dude, why are you doing such deep research on Jonathan?
So I can give you my I guess my hack for LinkedIn. I literally in the very beginning, I just like went down the list and I was like, click, 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 click. And I probably did it so many times. I think I have like 5,000 plus LinkedIn connection, maybe even 6,000. I don't even know. The guy who's doing research might be able to tell me. Yeah. But yeah, it was just like one of those things where now I'm getting like maybe close to 10 LinkedIn requests a day and probably 15 cold messages on LinkedIn each day. So like understanding what you are specialized in and then seeing the cold emails come up on your LinkedIn, you know how bad some of these cold emails are.
For me, it's gotten to the point where I'll go through, I'll accept the ones that have no message. And then if they have like something really awesome to say, like, hey, I love your YouTube videos, I'll accept them. But otherwise, and spam without you even connecting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I still accept them anyways. Well, I accept them anyways because what you can do is what I think is valuable is you can export. I know LinkedIn has made it a little bit more difficult now, but you can export your LinkedIn connections and then put them into some type of remarketing campaign. Mm-hmm. So that's why I accept everybody, because you never know who could be a client, or you could use a lookalike audience in order to find a variation of that. I think it's very valuable.
Yeah, that's something we don't do at all here. I've heard it from a couple of people now. The last webinar I think we did was an advertising webinar too, and it's like you get most of your clients from retargeting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a combination of retargeting and people who just have heard about our brand from press or podcasts, or we have a really good SEO presence. If you Google unlimited graphic design, we're number 2 in the game, I would say. And we're already like on the top of Google, and we've only been around not even a whole year. So we're just I think we're destroying the market through our SEO, and then we're getting a lot of traffic to our website through SEO. And then once you get to the website, then you can do remarketing and stuff like that too. So it's a combination of a bunch.
What'd that SEO strategy look like?
Oh man, that's a 6-hour conversation. I mean, we have a content calendar. Things are being republished on a daily basis. We're constantly going back to old content and trying to make it better. Once we look at we look at like all of the Google console and the search console, and we see like all the different types of keywords that are actually being monitored. And then we just go back into that particular blog that we know is doing well, and we add more to it. It's just a really attention to detail that we have through our SEO strategies. It's if somebody wants to come here and say like SEO is dead, I would say, bullcrap, dude. Look at our analytics, and we would disagree.
Yeah, I think it's just so interesting. Like the more of these interviews I do, the more I realized I've just kind of found my little thing, and I'm ignoring so much because it's like YouTube SEO is our big thing, and I don't really care too much about regular SEO. I'm not doing retargeting. I'm not doing any of these ads. Like there's so much opportunity for us. I wasn't even doing email marketing to our list until really like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and now we have a 25-week autoresponder.
Well, I think in your realm, I personally hate the coaches that are. I know what you are, and I'm not trying to like disrespect your brand, but I see all these like bullcrap people that are like, hey man, do you want to make money in 6 days? And like it's a slippery slope when it comes like with what you do and making it authentic, making it real and genuine. Like your branding and your videos are so good, but like, how could you do it without sounding spammy? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% it does. And actually that's been one of the hardest things. Cause like I was watching a Gary Vee video today and he was talking about how he hates when young people do that, like make more money thing. But then it's also like, I don't want to sell a course, I don't know what to do. Like I have people asking me questions all the time, and I'm not going to like, that's my life. Basically, I'm giving up my life, like I would rather charge for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you though. I'm trying not to fall into that. I'm trying to be the best I can, and actually recently people have been getting crazy value off of these consults. Like they'll pay whatever it is.
I can imagine.
$500-600
and
make like
disclaimer, everybody that's listening,
hundreds of thousands.
Alex's prices are going up. I'm getting an email.
Dude, okay, so I'm doing the Colonel Tom Parker strategy. I'm releasing a video on Friday. He was Elvis's manager. Oh, do you know who that is?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
So he was the manager for Elvis Presley. And basically, he would negotiate, like, let's say Elvis was like a singer in the 50s, for anyone who I don't know who wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's like he would negotiate a spot where he would say, all right, it's $100,000 for Elvis to sing here. And then he would call the next guy and he'd be like, all right, the next month, let's say it's $200,000 for him to sing at this different spot, 300, 400. He would just keep raising the price. And then at that point, he would go back to the first people. Like by the time it was $1 million within 30 days. And then he'd be like, oh, by the way, awesome. Elvis's price is now $1 million. And you just kind of like squeeze him as his value increase. I'm trying to do that.
That's awesome.
$100.
That's really interesting. I would also like to see your stand-up, some of your stand-up routines on YouTube.
I've given up stand-up in general.
Oh, you did?
Well, sort of. So I realized that my type of anything, my type of delivery doesn't work if it's like bullet points or planned out. Really, like I'm much more of the type of guy to just go up there and riff. Like I used to think I was more like a Louis C.K. Now I think I'm more like a Kevin Smith, and I'm fine. I'm fine being Kevin Smith. I'll be that.
Nice.
All right. Let's see. Any other questions, guys? Oh, here we go. Is Waterfront Lab an incubator program? I see they won $25,000 from the city of Camden.
Wow. Who was that? The same person?
Same guy, which actually I've come to appreciate him a lot in these last 10 minutes.
Yeah. I definitely respect the hustle, man. That's good stuff. If you want to email me, I'd love to chat with you just because the amount of research I think is really, really respectful. It's Jonathan@penji.co. That's my email. You can, say what's up. Waterfront Lab was, or is an incubator for the city of Camden. I am on the board of that institution. which is Waterfront Ventures. And what we're trying to do is turn the city of Camden around. And something that like we didn't even talk about really up until now is like how important the city of Camden is. So again, Camden is known as one of the most dangerous cities in America. And we strategically placed ourselves here and where we could have gone to Philly. And the reason why we decided to stay here in Camden is because we wanted to make an impact in our city and not just be like another fish in the pond. And so we said, like, what happens if, again, going back to narrowingly focusing, we wanted to just be the best in that one little city. And then who knows what we could, if we could replicate the model here, we can go somewhere else. And so we provide internships. We provide job opportunities to underserviced cities. So every employee from the United States is from Camden. They're a resident, they're a student, they have some affiliation with Camden. And us providing those opportunities for those people where they could have been neglected because maybe their race, their name, their whatever prejudice you could possibly think of, we see value in those types of people. And our organization is extremely diverse, predominantly women, predominantly people of color. We even have a podcast that we just launched that actually talks about the different shades of success. That's what it's called. We just launched it about, this is the first time I ever brought it up on any type of platform, but yeah, we just launched it. We're 3 podcasts in, and we're just talking about what all the different shades of success, what it looks like. And so like the philanthropy aspect of Penji is really special to me because it provides more of like that why. Like, yeah, we provide a cool service, we deliver it well, but we also give back to other people. And I think for me, that's motivating.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge that you would even decide to do that. Like, yeah. I feel like sometimes I'm wired the wrong way, you know, because I need to think like that more. I'm trying to think like that more.
I think I would just challenge it. Like, you could still do it. It's just, you have to, like, for me, the reason why I started my podcast was I want to help the next generation of entrepreneurs. And like, that was just something that was ingrained to me in the very beginning of like my entrepreneurship career. I wish I had a mentor. I wish your YouTube channel existed when I started 6 years ago, because I needed like a mentor, but I didn't have any. I needed somebody to look at and be like, oh, this guy's doing it right. Like, I like his vibe. Instead, I was stuck with people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who just like splurted out motivational crap. And so like, that was good for a point in time, but now you need the execution piece. And so that's kind of like my personal mission in life, is just to help those people, regardless of their resources, to be able to execute whatever dream they want to uphold.
Yeah, that's awesome. And my inspirations, Noah Kagan and Andrew Warner, who, when I was starting, they were doing this exact same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to both of them now.
I think Noah's doing pretty good for himself.
He's doing great for himself. Yeah. It's not the same type of, like, he used to do webinars like this, where he would just kind of sit and just chill with people. I miss
great conversations, good content.
Yeah, it's not just the content though. It is kind of just like hanging, and some people don't have people like this around. I know I still barely have people like this around that are in person. Yeah. I still have to do this over the internet most of the time.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I actually like the internet more than I would probably an in-person interview. Like, I think the Joe Rogan podcast is like so cool, but I don't know. I kind of like just the vibe and that, especially we got going on right now. You're just shooting the crap and we're talking. I think it's the same effect as if it were to be in person.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so any final questions for Jonathan as we're winding down here? I'll give him a good 7 seconds. All right. All right, where do you?
I'm waiting for him to talk to find an ex-girlfriend that he found. He's like, hey man, remember when you dated that girl? And be like, what the F?
He says, actually, he does have another question. He said, ask John to talk about using your weaknesses to find your strengths. Is that a real thing?
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
He said, ask you to talk about using your weaknesses to find your strengths.
Sure. My biggest weakness was my ego. And yeah, I think I've lost a lot of things because of my ego. I lost a lot of really good relationships because of my ego. And I also fail as a leader because of my ego, because I'm constantly thinking like, oh man, that hit me right in my ego, where like they're questioning my intelligence, or like they're questioning my hard work, or whatever it may be. And you kind of have to just like, even with my co-founder, it is that way at times. And that's always a problem.
Yeah, I find
ego,
that
but I think
so interesting. You think, okay, I'm wondering if that is ego, because it's like I always think I'm so smart, and then something will happen like once a day. I think once or twice a day I'm like, cut down to size by somebody or something.
Yeah, me too. And you just have to be able to just take it on the chin and be like, you know what? Yeah, they're right. Yeah, I just need to slow down. I think it's really good to have, like, I know for me, significant others, like my girlfriend is a huge resource for me. She's able to be like, no, you're acting like an asshole. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. But yeah, it was my ego, and I think it became my strength is because I'm just recognizing it. I'm not there by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm cognizantly aware, and I'm always thinking about how can I just be a better human being. And it starts with like interactions that you have with others, respecting them, understanding them, being respectful. If you're thinking about it, I think you can go a long way. So
part of it, I think, is content creation too. Like Tim Schmoyer, who runs Video Creators, he was talking about this a while ago. He was like, if you create YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever, especially if you're like listening to them back or like editing or whatever, like sometimes you'll convince yourself you are that person.
Yeah.
And that's not a good person to hang out with, even if they're like the most insightful person ever in the videos.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's a great quote. I even think that, yeah, I mean, we won't go down there, but just creating content in general, I think is really important. And analyzing it is also important, because you can look at yourself and say like, how did I say this correctly? Or am I just talking out of my ass?
Yeah, I'm with you. On that point, I hate the name of your company, Penji, because of the way my jaw, you see this? Penji. You see how it goes to the side when I say it? And if I try to pronounce it correctly, I'll say like Penji. Like I just can't do it. I don't know what's up with my J's there.
It's all good, man. I won't hold it against
the name of your company.
Yeah. What are good words that you can pronounce?
I have no idea. That's the thing. I didn't even realize it. Someone pointed this out a few days ago. They're like, your jaw goes to the side. And then they were like, you probably have some debilitating disease. You should go see a doctor. No.
You're dying, dude.
I am dying. Guys, please make out a card for me if I die. Okay, so where do you want to send people at the end of this?
Penji.co. penji.co. If you like what I'm saying, if you find it valuable, if you like how quirky we both are, I guess, use the coupon code partner15 at checkout, and it'll at least track and say like, hey, it came from Alex.
Cool. Thanks for being here. And guys, Jonathan wasn't joking. My coaching prices are going up, so check me out at experiment27.com/consulting. They're the lowest they're ever going to be. We're going up by $100 a month. All right.
Nice. Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks for being here, Jonathan.
All right. Thanks, man. See ya.
Later.